All right, recording has started, so this is official now. Obviously, we cut the beginning out. We have a little bit of intro.
No, save it. Leave
Um,
it in there.
let let them watch. So, all right. Um, well, um, first official video, and this one's funny because it is sort of commemorating our 1 year anniversary at Arcanum Ventures, which we celebrated last month. So, kudos to us, 1 year in the business. Um, it's been a roller coaster of a year. It's been extremely adventurous and fun. And we just want to talk about a little bit about our first year in Arcanum Ventures in the cryptocurrency and blockchain startup arena. And also give a bit of a rundown of what we've seen as far as the startups that have been coming to market and startups specifically that have been reaching out to us for investment, financial backing, advisory support, etc. So, just to kick it off officially, I'm Sasha, co-founder of Arcanum Ventures, and I'm here with Carmelo, the other co-founder of Arcanum Ventures. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. Just trying to figure out how to do all this video mumbo jumbo nonsense.
Yeah, about an hour of technical difficulties later, and we are live. So, okay, we'll just go ahead and jump in. First thing I want to do is kind of just give like my impression, I guess, of the first year that we've experienced together at Arcanum, and maybe throw it back to you. So, um, I think in my perspective, we've seen a massive influx of projects that have been reaching out to us to collaborate, work with us, or even source financial backing to some extent. Obviously, in cryptocurrency startup, regardless of market conditions, that's kind of what we would expect, right? It's a startup arena. There's a lot of people that are looking for funding to fund the building of their companies. What surprised me really is the number of projects that have reached out, and also with the growth of our own community and the growth of our marketing and the reach that our message has gotten, that ties back into, I guess, the core ethos of Arcanum. We've consistently seen like an improvement in the quality of projects that are reaching out. So that really surprised me how quickly that sort of accelerated. So yeah, what are your feelings on it?
Yeah, I knew we were pretty proficient at marketing, but I never expected we'd get so much attention that quickly in the first year, especially. And obviously, we've seen that accelerate over the last few months, and we're getting more attention. So, pat ourselves on the back for marketing there, and our producer King, and yeah, I think it's about what we'd expect. Like the category we're looking least at is probably, if I had to guess, I haven't reviewed the charts too much, but the most applications we get are from gaming and metaverse projects. I think that's just a byproduct of how many how many of those projects were launching last year, hoping to capitalize on the trend of GameFi, play to earn, especially after the whole Axie fallout. That was massive, and then everybody knows what happens after that. It absolutely cratered, and Play to Earn kind of got quiet. And then they rebranded themselves, Play and Earn or GameFi or whatever kind of buzzword you want to attach to gaming right now. Web3 gaming is the new one.
Web3 gaming, I like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, GameFi in, I guess, all shapes and forms still seems to be pretty strong.
Yeah,
And yeah, we'll look at the data. I think that's going to support that for sure. But yeah, we're still getting a lot of leads for GameFi projects. We're getting a lot of leads to design token economies for GameFi, and I think our message is pretty clear. We want to make sure that we're doing the best we can to create sustainable token economies for games and products that seem fun. There's a lot of like entertainment value there's a lot of value for gamers for being in that sort of ecosystem. So yeah, I think as long as we're aligned in our sort of like virtues and core ethos, I'm happy to help GameFi projects along because I know that it's going to help with adoption in the space. I know it's exciting to talk about. It's exciting to look at and even feel and play. So, I mean, it's a great application for blockchain and Web3.
Yeah, and on that note, I think a good thing is the caliber of games has increased greatly too. Like we were seeing some not even worthy of being mobile game quality games in the beginning, and now we're seeing, AAA, actual AAA quality games launching on consoles and, computer and mobile and everything in between, VR games. A lot of them, they haven't developed or built anything yet, but at least the materials they're putting out there for investors looks impressive. But if you do a little bit of digging, you might find that it's not totally real yet.
Yeah, we've seen like very early stage and even like like games that are already launched and everything in between. It's always fun to kind of like just see this wide range of where everyone's at with their games, regardless of like they're all in the fundraising stage somehow. But yeah, so speaking of fundraising, I think in the past 12 months, we've had hundreds of applicants of projects, founding teams that have reached out, not only for investment, but also advisory support for token economics, for marketing services, content creation services, all sorts of things, partnerships. And so, yeah, this is, I guess, it's kind of like the cornerstone of Arcanum Ventures. Like we do have a venture capital investment fund. We do invest in early stage projects, but we're much more focused on advisory services and helping support those early stage projects and founders. And so this is if for those of you that are not familiar with our website, this is the big button that we have here on the front page, that everyone's been using to reach out to us. And so we're looking at I think we've got a few hundred applications in the past year, and we want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that and see what trends we've been seeing, and maybe offer like a few predictions for what we think the future is going to bring in 2023. And then without further ado, boom, this has been the breakup of our inbound leads. And so, if you were to visit our website, if you're looking for some advisory support, if you're looking for some specific support services, or if you're looking for financial backing for your startup, you can enter our website, you can go to the form, you can apply and answer a few questions. That gives us an idea of what you are doing with your startup and what your goals are. And so, this is kind of the breakdown of the projects that we're seeing. So right off the bat, GameFi is massive. I think like nearly a quarter of the projects that have reached out to us
Who
in
would
the
have guessed?
past year. And like a quarter doesn't sound like a lot, I guess, but when you consider we've got like 20 categories here, like a quarter is a lot. So that is many, many projects. And again, we've seen everything from like really good ones to ones that are maybe not so great. But yeah, like what are your impressions here? In GameFi, obviously that's a huge one. It was massive in 2021, 2022. But yeah, what else are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought actually is like kind of overwhelmed by all the different categories. But, if you were to lump in GameFi with NFTs and metaverse, I kind of consider those all the same ilk. So that's about a third of all the applications right there alone. Anything NFT, metaverse, and GameFi related. And usually I see a lot of these categories, they have a lot of crossover. Like, it's very rare that one project just encompasses one small category on this chart. A lot of them cover multiple aspects. And then, the most interesting thing I see, especially after the last few weeks logging on Twitter and LinkedIn, is the AI and neural networks. And, you know, this is a tiny fraction, but I imagine it's going to be a hell of a lot bigger next year when we're doing this. But everybody's stapling AI onto everything. So AI DeFi, AI GameFi, AI marketing, AI infrastructure. So I don't know. I think the categories are interesting, but we have to keep in mind that a lot of these companies reaching out to us, they have a few of these in their basket.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, there's like I personally remember a couple that were like bringing decentralized identifiers and ID and reputation into metaverse using NFTs. So there's crossover between those two categories
Yeah.
right there. Um, the ones that like I was very excited about, just to name a few off the top of my head, because like I don't so much lean into like the degen NFT category. But like e-commerce for sure. I'm super optimistic and excited about the application of blockchain and NFTs in e-commerce and logistics. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be like a massive problem solver for counterfeit goods. I think the potential there is huge. Obviously, DAOs and crowdfunding. Anything DAO related, I love. And I'm surprised to see like we didn't see so many DAOs coming into our portal, and I guess it's kind of ironic. Like maybe DAOs just tend to bootstrap themselves. So I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, the AI and the neural networks, starting to see a little bit over the past month or so, a few projects, and we're waiting to see how this develops. It's kind of like that early gold rush during the metaverse hype, where people would take like the same DeFi concepts and slap the word metaverse onto them. So I think like these cycles, they move through in like maybe 3 to 9 month time spans, and I'm excited to see maybe in like 2 or 3 months the quality of AI projects that are entering the fundraising stage really start to get up there. But yeah, what's funny is I expected a lot more DeFi. And I know there's some overlap with a lot of categories here, but I definitely expected, DeFi and GameFi to be the two big
Yeah,
ones.
I
Yeah,
think think there was
maybe
a
I
little
was
bit of
wrong.
DeFi fatigue last year. I mean, we had like DeFi summer a few years ago, and then, the kind of glitz and glamour wore off a bit. And then you had, these latest fiascos last year with it was blamed on DeFi, but it was really centralized DeFi, whatever the hell that means. But that caused the whole industry, spooked everybody, and people stopped trusting these platforms. A few stable coins collapsed. We saw BUSD is getting delisted because they're facing scrutiny, and people are like never trusting anything too much. Like we've seen when FTX collapsed, like nothing is safe, really, truly safe, 100%. Binance is probably the closest thing, or maybe Ethereum. Those are the two entities within Web3 that are probably safer than most, but even anything can happen. Anybody in crypto knows that anything can happen. Like they say, one day in crypto feels like a week for regular people. So much is happening every day. So, and to go back to your point, I think the reason why we're not seeing so many DAOs reaching out, because I mean, it kind of makes sense that they're decentralized entities. So there's a lot of people making decisions, and it's not like a centralized team reaching out. There isn't a few key decision makers. There's potentially hundreds or even thousands of community members, and for them to come to a consensus to reach out to any one entity. And then on the same note, like DAOs don't usually look for support from VCs because it kind of goes against the whole point. You don't want to. I mean, if you're like a marketing partner or providing a service, maybe, but if you're, I don't know, looking for investors for your DAO. I think we had a conversation about this actually, like how should DAOs approach investment from institutions? And it's an interesting topic that we haven't really, maybe we can discuss on another time or another video, but I don't know. How are you supposed to raise money from VCs? And you don't want to give up too much control over a DAO or it defeats the whole purpose. Now it's just basically like a company with a few investors.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I've got something prepared for that already. And it's a massive question. I think we've ran into a few times from founders. So yeah, we're gonna give our opinion on that for sure in an upcoming video. But yeah, I think you said it well. One day in crypto feels like a week, which might be why I feel like I've aged 7 years in the past 12 months. But hashtag no regrets. Like this is we're in this for the long haul. We love it. It's been an amazing year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. But yeah, let's just give, I guess, like summary, sort of like predictions of what we think we're going to see over the 2023. The obvious one in my mind, that AI pie slice is going to get much bigger. We're going to see way more AI projects coming in through our portal, especially considering maybe a controversial opinion, but everyone's looking for the next trend and hype to jump on board. They're looking to, climb out of the red, climb out of that hole that everyone was thrown into with the market decline this past year, and take some returns. And the most promising thing right now seems to be the hype surrounding AI. And so, I it doesn't I don't doubt that we're going to see some projects that are trying to create sort of hype based pump and dump startups and token launches. Hopefully, we're able to avoid any sort of involvement there, but it's coming, guys. Brace yourselves. GameFi, I think, is going to get much smaller. It's going to go away, or we're only going to see very, very high quality projects, and I think that's going to be led by investor attention and investor capital. I think a lot of investors are scared to invest in GameFi because there's a lot of concerns around sustainability, and token economies, and also still market saturation. So maybe not so much capital going into GameFi, and maybe some founders are going to be more cautious before opening up a crowd fundraise. um, the two categories I really want to see get a little bit bigger, I already said
Yeah.
e-commerce. I love e-commerce. And the other one, which it's definitely a double-edged sword, identity and reputation. I I'm like really cautious to be optimistic about this because I'm thinking of just like an Orwellian dystopian future. But I really do think that blockchain is going to solve a lot of issues with sort of like geographically segmented identity and credentials and passports, all of these issues where like they're subject to really inefficient paperwork sort of processes segmented by governments that are already inefficient. I think this is going to offer like a huge solution. Maybe not this year, but I'd like to see that happen. What about you?
And yeah, on that note, you just reminded me that I think privacy protocols are going to start to make a claim to, I don't know, take some of the spotlight because people are more worried, especially what happened to Tornado Cash. And I don't know, it's kind of funny because it goes technically against the ethos of blockchain, which is transparency, but and visibility on chain records of everything. But people also don't want to interact with financial ecosystems where everything they do can be scrutinized and put under the microscope. So I think that reminded me. I think that might be a thing. Maybe not this year, but maybe the following year. But I think I have to disagree. I think GameFi is just continue to be this big of a piece of pie in our pie chart. Uh, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's saturated, and there's a lot of money going to probably maybe 20%. It's like the 80-20 rule. Maybe 20% of the projects are getting all the money. Doesn't mean that people aren't still trying, but video games in general have trended towards this indie studio kind of building. Like we see some really successful indie studio games being produced. So it's not just major studios like that. It used to be dominated by like the Nintendos and the Sonys back in the day. So it gives people an avenue to create their dream game, which is kind of cool with lower budgets, not AAA quality probably, but and do something unique. And frankly, I'm happy about that because people continue to reach out to us to help them build their gaming economies. And it's funny because we're highly critical of gaming, but I love building gaming economies. It's fun. It's a nice challenge to think of ways to dream something up that works for everybody and isn't just a unsustainable cash grab, play to earn, whatever. Like very lazy way to build a game and not even technically a business model. But that's another rant. But one thing I would like to see more of this year is like ESG, energy utilities, like more using blockchain for good. Like on-chain carbon credits is a reoccurring thing, and maybe I'm cheating a little bit with the AI and ESG, but I think in the last few months, off the top of my head, it feels like we've been seeing more, fintech payment processing protocols and companies. We've been seeing more ESG being mentioned, either in conjunction with other categories on this chart, or just that's solely the focus of it. And I mean, DAOs are going to continue to grow because not just because it's a great use case for blockchain, it's probably the best, but also it's kind of insulation from regulation. So people are going to start using the DAO aspect as more of a shield to protect themselves. Whether it's a DAO or not is another case entirely. A lot of people call themselves decentralized and they say they have governance, but it doesn't really exist. It's just a theoretical idea on the pitch deck. So I, I
Oh,
don't
hey,
I don't think
shots
we're going to
fired.
see too many new trends, but I really am just waiting for social media, like decentralized social media, to take its rightful place on the pyramid because a lot of people have tried, but I haven't seen anything gain traction. But it's just a matter of time. Whether that means, you know, pre-existing traditional social media giants adapt, like Twitter with Elon Musk or Blue Sky even by Jack Dorsey. Maybe they're gonna, conquer this market first, or then you see like the Lens protocols of the world. I think that's probably going to be the most promising one. And then we had DeSo, or I can't remember the first name of it. BitClout, that's it. Yeah, so we had social media for a while now, but I'm waiting for it to actually become a major thing. And I think there's been a couple of people trying to compete with TikTok or YouTube. It hasn't gone so well yet, but maybe it's just a matter of time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what social media companies do in the next 12 months. And then tokenization, that's another big one, but that's also heavily dependent on regulation and, you know, political situation, geographical area. It's all it's all a big mess. Like I'm excited about tokenization, but I'm not really confident right now that anybody has a solution that is, I don't know, anywhere near ready.
Yeah, I think that one's far off. Personally, I think social media is far off. At least like I'm not rooting against it. I am really looking forward to seeing like the train wreck that is decentralized social media and what that experiment's going to look like because I think it's going to be messy and I'm excited to watch it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyways, I think these are some fun predictions. I think it's going to be fun to see how this pans out um, over over the next year. And yeah, I think we should do this again in 1 year's time and talk about how this lined up with our predictions. And who knows, maybe we're like just completely wrong, and it's all about AI. There's nothing else exists. It's gonna be
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
independent of
But
crypto, AI
yeah.
is going to
Anyways,
dominate, the
um,
tech startup space, but also within the crypto subset, like every crypto startup team is like at least looking at how they can implement AI or put it into it. But I saw an interesting thing the other day. Everybody incorporating like the API for ChatGPT into their platform, for example, that they're going to be shit out of luck basically when they stop doing that. Like they're gonna just revoke access, and it's gonna be an issue, I think, in the future. So building,
yeah, I mean, or they're gonna monetize the hell
yeah,
out of it. Well, yep, that's a fun one to watch as well. And now who knows? Maybe we might be completely wrong, and maybe in 1 year's time, Bitcoin is the only thing that survives.
and
So
NFTs on
we'll
Bitcoin.
see. Anyways, well, Arcanum Ventures 1 year recap. Very happy to share it with you all, and looking forward to the next one. Thanks for watching. Make sure you check out our media center for all the different articles we've been posting, news on partnerships, developments, etc. And if you're looking for some support with your cryptocurrency startup, do not hesitate to reach out and ask. We're always willing to have a conversation. Thanks so much
And
for
like and
watching. Take
subscribe.
care, y'all.
And check out these
Yeah, smash
lovely videos
smash
up here.
that button.
Is that what you're supposed to do?